I'm Jason Joyce. I'm the publisher of Isthmus, and with me, of course, is Judy Davidoff, editor and president of Isthmus. We are recording this on Wednesday, September 1st, and the release of issue 2 is imminent on Thursday, September 2nd. It'll start showing up on the streets and grocery stores, coffee shops, and libraries. Judy, issue 2 came together, no problem, right?
No problem whatsoever. The stories just came in. We didn't even ask for them. It was incredible. Yeah.
We don't set themes for our issues, but this issue has sort of a theme to it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it really did. And it was completely organic. The cover story, I would say, was first, and that's a piece by Bill Leaders, who everyone, of course, knows as the former news editor at Isthmus for about 25 years. Now editor of The Progressive. Just thought people might not want to listen to my dog bark.
Right.
So he collected his correspondence from all of those 25 years at Isthmus. Each year he started a new folder and really didn't look at those folders till the last year. And the Wisconsin Historical Society requested the collection. And so it's now been processed and filed there. And he goes through them and just, gives us little snippets of different letters with interns, with writers, with governors, with disgruntled readers, with happy readers. And it really provides a great window into both the work Bill did and, 25 years in the life of an alt weekly.
And he really, his correspondence is noteworthy for many reasons. Going through the story, he, first of all, the beginning of his career obviously was pre-internet. So many of these correspondences were typed letters or even handwritten notes. But we both know Bill pretty well. And let's just say Bill was not while he claims to have the first computer in the history of Isthmus in the newsroom, he was not an eager participant in the internet in his career. So email was definitely a part of his job, but he didn't just dash things off. He put a lot of thought into his correspondence.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He does acknowledge some that he didn't put that much thought into. He regrets probably. Some were rash and brash, as he said. It really is a remarkable collection. And it does, it does make you, I think, for me, even thinking about some of the letters that, I've disposed of, and I do keep some, but, it really reminds you of all those years and different projects and different works. And
So the cover story sort of sets the tone of a theme of local journalism, local news reporting, and what other components are in the paper this month that go along with that.
So, one of the collaborations that we've been most excited about at Isthmus is with Wisconsin Humanities and their Love Wisconsin storytelling series. And they they use themes to determine their storytelling projects. And one of them is on local news. And actually, Catherine Capillero, who's Isthmus former arts and entertainment editor, was the producer on this series. And one of the stories is with Ron Smith, who's the editor of Milwaukee Neighborhood News Service. And that's a nonprofit news service in Milwaukee based at Marquette. And he tells the story of how he got involved in journalism. He's worked at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, USA Today, LA Times. And he came back to Milwaukee a few years ago to run this news service. And, one of my favorite quotes in it is, we don't parachute in, we're here when the news happens and after. And it's also a great training ground for journalists. And he talks about how he's finding that piece of it so meaningful. And, just the general importance of local news. So that fit right into Bill's piece.
Right. And a piece that you wrote that you have a byline in this month's issue.
That's right. Through one of the organizations that we're involved with, the Institute for Nonprofit News, they had a, might be Blue Lena. I'm getting my webinars mixed up. There's so many of them all the time. In any case, there was a webinar out there and talking about this Local Journalism Sustainability Act that's now pending in Congress. And it's very exciting. I mean, part of the excitement is that it actually has a chance of moving forward. When introduced a couple of years ago, I think the supporters just hoped that they would keep introducing it and support would build, momentum would build. But this time it's a very bipartisan effort. There are versions in both the House and the Senate with some influential backers. And it sounds like it has about a 50% chance of moving forward because the plan is to try and get it wrapped into the reconciliation bill. So it's a very, very interesting concept. It's not a pot of money that government officials would be divvying out to news groups. They are tax credits. So there would be a tax credit for a reader who wants to donate to their local news outlet. There's a tax credit for advertisers and sponsors who, again, value their local news outlet and want to advertise or sponsor in that organization. And there's also a tax credit for the news outlet themselves for payroll.
Yeah. It's definitely, I feel like even though we're very close to the topic of local news, it is a concern and people are talking about it and people are concerned about it, particularly in cities, markets much smaller than ours. But we can see the contraction taking place really in the industry at all levels.
Everywhere, yeah.
It was like a viable option to at least, help inject some money into the.
Absolutely. And as you know, the sponsors talk about, it is bipartisan and there's a lot of support for it, just in the concept. It really, people always scream about giveaways, but this is actually, there's a market test to it. If readers or advertisers are not supportive of what you're doing, don't want to see you continue, they won't donate and get the tax credit. Yeah. If they like what you're doing, they will.
Yeah, it seems to make sense to me. So we'll be watching that. Of course, people can learn about that in Isthmus, but this is something that we'll be watching here in the coming months. Back half of the paper, we've dedicated some space in the food and drink section to drink. We have a little beer roundup from our brew guru, Robin Shepard. We also have a nice story about a winery that exists on the east side of Madison that people probably didn't know about.
The who knew question.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we have a cool story about a Chazen exhibit. So we've dedicated some space in the paper to the visual arts this week. I think that's a pretty cool feature that people will look forward to.
Mm-hmm. And we also have Aaron Conklin, who looked into how some of the performance venues survived the pandemic, which seems to be some government assistance and a little help from their friends.
Right. That's a cool local business story, but also an arts and entertainment story. A couple of events that we want to call people's attention to coming up. Isthmus is going to be busy. We have partnered with some community organizations in helping them present these are sort of institutional festivals in town. The Willie Street Fair, which is in the middle of September. Now the dates are always going to elude me here, but we are looking at, as I call up the calendar here, September 18th and 19th is the Willie Street Fair. We will have a tent at the fair. Will be located right next to the place where you buy t-shirts and everything for the Wilmar Center, and Commonwealth Development will be part of that group. So look for our red tent on Willie Street on those dates. And we're also very proud to be at the art fair on the square, which is the following week. It's September 25th and 26th. We'll be down on the square. Again, look for our red tent and our smiling faces and come and say hi. We'll be glad to answer any of your questions and just chat and hang out at those two opportunities, and get in touch with us if you've got anything going on. Obviously, support Isthmus by clicking on the Support Isthmus button on our homepage. Help us keep this going. Continue to come out with more print publications in the coming months.
And sustain everything else as well.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add, Judy, about what we're up to?
I would just say that those that tabling at these events, really, we did a bunch for the August issue, and it really is fun and an opportunity to meet people and hear what you think of what we're doing, listen to some suggestions, and just meet some of our readers. So I would really encourage people to come out to those events and stop by our tent.
That's right. All right, so we will see everybody out on the street on Thursday. Thanks for supporting Isthmus. Judy?
Thanks, everybody.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.